What's going on, internet people? It's your boy back at it again on another Thursday, just like I never left. Hope you've been having an awesome week so far. Mine has been okay. Been training at work and it's a lot, but we gonna find a way. We gonna make a way if we got to. You feel me? I did want to come to you all today with a new video. Not gonna lie, it took me a while to think of the topic for this week's video, but I was able to come up with a little something that I think is pretty pertinent for the month we're in. As you know, March is Women's History Month, where we'll acknowledge and give praise to the wonderful women in our lives and society who have helped to make the world a better place each and every day. This video, I wanted to focus a little bit on the Supreme Court. I wanted to talk about Joe Biden's nominee for the Supreme Court, who is actually, if confirmed, will be the first black woman to ever hold that position, which I would think is a long time coming and it's a bit overdue, but we're gonna take what we can. So I just wanted to touch on a little bit of like who she is, and I did a little research on kind of some of the cases that she's heard to see what kind of judge she is. And I also wanted to focus on some other things that a lot of her opponents have been trying to attack her. So let's dig into that. Just in case by chance any of you did not know how the Supreme Court functions, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. They hear cases that have to do with mostly like constitutional issues, and their verdicts are usually like the end all be all if you have a case that goes through the justice system. So as of right now, there are 9 seats on the Supreme Court. So there are 9 judges and 9 seats on the court, and each one is nominated by the president that is in office at the time where there's a vacancy. So Biden gets his nominee, or his choice to pick a nominee, after Justice Breyer says he's retiring from the court. Now, prior to any of this happening, on the campaign trail, Joe Biden had said before that he would nominate a black woman to the court, which nobody really had a problem with at the time, or it wasn't as big of an issue as it has been for some people. So after a few weeks of deliberation, Joe Biden goes and nominates Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to that vacant seat. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of where she came from and kind of her judicial philosophy in a way. Not really going to dig too deep in it because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in law school. I don't really understand all the ins and outs of it, but kind of just wanted to give you all a gist of kind of where she stands on a lot of different issues and kind of trying to gauge to see what kind of judge she will be. Now, Judge Jackson was on the federal appeals court before she got nominated to this position, and prior to her law career, she attended Harvard for undergrad and also attended Harvard Law School. So she has the credentials of all the other justices who were Ivy League educated or whatever. Another thing I found interesting about Justice Jackson is that she was actually a public defender at one point in her career. So public defenders are lawyers who are appointed to people if they're in a criminal case, if they can't afford or can't get a lawyer on their own. They're like lawyers who pretty much help with people who are, I would say, probably need the most help in terms of legal representation at that point. And I think that actually gives her a unique perspective on the law, because she's actually been on the side of people defending themselves from prosecutions. So usually they like to put like prosecutors on the bench and for judge positions because I guess prosecutors are the ones who are, pursuing cases and actually trying to get a guilty verdict. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like her being a public defender, she has a little more empathy towards the people that she's ruling about. Also, I really kind of wanted to dig into a little bit to do with like how she is on workers' rights, and I actually did find a case where she ruled that 3 provisions that Trump passed in executive orders went against people's right to collectively bargain with their employers. So I think that's actually a good sign. How often do you hear about these elected officials actually wanting and supporting unions? Haven't heard it lately. And it's good to hear about all of the workers, you know, unionizing at these factories, you know, like with John Deere and Kellogg's, and, you know, people taking collective action to get the things that they want out of their workplace. So I think that's a pretty good sign going forward in terms of like her being good on those type of issues, because there are some justices that, you know, have made some interesting rulings when it comes to workers' rights. Let's just leave it at that. Another big topic that is going to come up in her confirmation hearings is definitely going to be reproductive freedoms, and she's actually been very good on that. She's been an advocate for women's right to choose and understands that Roe v. Wade was passed already, and that's the precedent. So I think that's a good sign moving forward. Now, is it going to be that helpful because there's still a conservative majority on the court? You know, that's still yet to see. You know, we have all these bills coming up in state legislatures, you know, them trying to restrict reproductive rights, abortion rights. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here regarding, you know, the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade. Another thing I found interesting was actually that Justice Jackson actually shares a birthday with the first Black woman to ever sit on the federal court in general. And she was actually a clerk for her when she graduated from college. So that connection is just kind of crazy to me too, because it's like, how did you, like, that legacy of her, you know, working with the first Black woman to be on the court, you know, her being nominated to the highest court in the land at this point, it just goes to show you how far things have come in terms of, like, you know, Black women and people of color getting into these positions of power and influence where they can actually try and advocate for people. Well, people can just see a more diverse and a more inclusive judicial system that actually looks like them and looks like the American people. So that brings me to her critics. Now, the main critic I'm gonna kind of focus on is gonna be a man by the name of Tucker Carlson. Now, if you don't know who Tucker Carlson, I can't even say his name right. Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. Okay. Now, if you don't know who Tucker Carlson is, he is, well, first of all, congratulations. But he is a talking head that has a pretty popular show on Fox News where he pretty much just gives his opinions on pretty much everything, kind of like what I'm doing, but I like to think I'm a little more nuanced than he is, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna focus on a video where he was actually talking about Justice Jackson's credentials and how she may not be qualified for this role, and I'll just let you take a look and see what he's talking about. So without further ado,
it might be time for Joe Biden to let us know what Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT score was. What hell did she do in the LSATs? Why wouldn't he tell us that? That would settle the question conclusively as to whether she's a once-in-a-generation legal talent, the next one at hand. It would seem like Americans in a democracy have a right to know that and much more before giving her a lifetime appointment, but we didn't hear that.
Now, I just found it a little funny that this question is being asked of her in particular, because I don't remember pretty much any other justice being asked to provide their grades or their LSAT scores, because she actually, I don't understand how that's relevant because she's a judge. Like, she's not trying to get into law school, so what would the LSAT scores have to do with anything? And it's crazy because he didn't ask this when Kavanaugh was getting nominated. He didn't ask it when Coney Barrett was getting nominated. So I'm just like, there has to be a certain reason why you're asking this of the Black woman, right? Right, Tucker? It's just these stupid dog whistles and, you know, it's not even a dog whistle at this point. It's just blatantly racist. Why would you ask her? But it's the same thing they did to Obama when he won the election, and they were saying how, you know, he needed to show his transcripts, the birth certificate. You never asked this of anybody. You didn't ask it for Trump. Well, actually, no, you did ask it of Trump. We did ask Trump for his transcripts, and he literally would not give them away. In fact, there were reports that the schools he went to, he literally threatened them with legal action if his grades ever got released. I'm like, if you had good grades, why would you hide why would you feel the need to hide them? It just doesn't make sense. So it's just another attempt to attack this woman's character, make her seem like she's not qualified and this is an affirmative action pick when she's literally been a, you know, federal appeals judge for years, literally went to Harvard just like the majority of Supreme Court justices in history, yet you find the need to question her credentials when we literally just sat Amy Coney Barrett on the bench and she's heard like, she brought like 3 cases to this hearing that she's heard in her lifetime. Another thing that people were trying to act like was stupid or that was affirmative action was the fact that Joe Biden promised he was going to nominate a black woman and did exactly that. I'm just trying to figure out, did y'all not remember when Trump literally said on the campaign trail, no, not even on the campaign trail, it was in a rally, he literally said that he would nominate a woman to the Supreme Court to thunderous applause.
I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman. It will be a woman unless...
Nobody said anything. Ronald Reagan literally promised that as well on the campaign trail. It's like, at this point, if you're not seeing the hypocrisy and the obvious double standard and just blatant racism at this point, I don't understand what it's gonna take to open your eyes. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit and pretty much defend this woman's character and her credentials, because I mean, she's, if not more, she's as qualified as anybody else that's been nominated to the Supreme Court in the last, what, 20 years? I'll go with that. But we know what it boils down to. We know the reasoning why this guy is saying these asinine things, asking these stupid questions that do not even need to be entertained. But I just thought I needed to debunk this nonsense because it's just lunacy. But anyway, that's enough of that. I feel like I've been rambling a little bit. If you have any thoughts or comments, make sure you leave them down below in the comment section. And if you liked the video, leave a like. And if you didn't, dislike it and let me know what I can do better. But until next time, stay frosty, my friends.